The blood-red sun rises over Sparta, casting long shadows. Spartan males are destined for one thing: war. Their lives are dedicated to strength, discipline and courage. Only the strong survive. Weakness is not tolerated. From age 7, Spartan boys enter the agoge, a world of hardship. They train with unwavering discipline, pushing their bodies and minds to the limits. Weakness is a liability. They fight, bleed, and grow stronger. The spirit of Leonidas, the legendary Spartan king, hangs heavy over the agoge. His sacrifice at Thermopylae serves as a constant reminder of Spartan courage. Spartans believe death in battle is the highest honor, achieving immortality. The sun rises over Sparta, heralding bloodshed. Spartan soldiers train relentlessly, embodying Spartan ideals. Among them, a young boy named Ariston stands out, eager to join their ranks. He watches older boys spar, including Theron, a future leader. Ariston knows he will soon be tested in the agoge. Ariston begins his training, saying goodbye to his stoic mother. Thrust into the wilds, he faces fear and danger alone. A menacing wolf emerges, its eyes glowing with hunger. Terror threatens Ariston, but he remembers his training. He raises his spear, knowing fear is a weakness. The wolf lunges. Ariston narrowly avoids the attack. The fight is brutal, a dance of death beneath the moon. Ariston fights with ferocity, refusing to yield. Ariston drags the wolf's carcass back to camp, earning awe and approval. He has passed the first test, proving his resilience. His training intensifies, mastering various weapons. He trains alongside other boys, their camaraderie forged in hardship. They push themselves to the limits of endurance. Training is relentless, forging boys into a single unit. Ariston excels, his agility and intelligence serving him well. He learns to control his fear, channeling it into determination. During a grueling session, his comrades support him when he collapses. Theron mocks Ariston, seeing weakness. Ariston, defiant, refuses to be humiliated. He challenges Theron, determined to prove his strength. Theron sneers, but Ariston stands firm. They prepare for a confrontation. Theron accepts the challenge. A circle forms around them. The clash is swift and brutal, a battle of wills. Ariston relies on agility, dodging Theron's brute force. The fight is a testament to their training and determination. Ariston's resolve burns, remembering the wolf and refusing to back down. That evening, the trainees gather around a fire, exhausted but unbroken. An elder warrior shares wisdom from the Persian wars. He speaks of Leonidas and the Battle of Thermopylae. His words remind them of the sacrifices demanded of Spartans. They are a call to arms, a reminder of their duty. Ariston listens intently, the elder's words resonating within him. He realizes true strength lies in convictions and belief in something greater. He vows to be ready for battle, supporting his brothers in arms. As night deepens, Ariston finds his purpose. He is Ariston, son of Sparta, destined to become a warrior. The heart of the agoge pulsed with a different rhythm now. Gone were the days of open sparring and communal meals. The air, once thick with the clang of wooden swords and the boisterous laughter of boys testing their mettle, now hummed with a tense silence. The final test loomed, the cryptire. Whispered about, but rarely discussed openly, the cryptire was a rite of passage shrouded in secrecy and dread. It was a test of cunning, of stealth, of a Spartan's ability to become one with the shadows, a silent predator stalking the land. For Ariston, it was the culmination of years of training, the moment when boyhood would be shed and the mantle of a true Spartan warrior embraced. The rules were simple, brutal in their simplicity. Each boy, armed with nothing but a knife and his wits, was to vanish into the wilderness. His mission, to survive, to hunt, to test his skills against the harsh realities of nature and the watchful eyes of Spartan ephors who roamed the land, unseen judges of their worthiness. The Spartan elders, their faces etched with the wisdom of generations, gathered the boys one last time. Their gazes, sharp and unforgiving, swept over the assembled youths, gauging their readiness, their resolve. When they spoke, it was with the weight of tradition of countless Spartans who had endured this trial before them. "Go now," their leader rasped, his voice a dry whisper that carried across the hushed clearing and became one with the shadows. "Let the land be your teacher, your crucible. Return to us warriors, or do not return at all." And with those words the boys dispersed, melting into the forest like phantoms, each one embarking on a solitary journey that would push them to the very edge of their physical and mental limits. Ariston, his heart pounding a steady rhythm against his ribs, moved with the practiced grace of a predator. Years of training had honed his senses, sharpened his instincts. He could scent the damp earth, the musk of wild animals, the faintest whisper of wind through the trees. He was a hunter now. His prey, not just the animals he needed to survive, but the very fear that gnawed at the edges of his resolve. Days bled into nights, each one colder than the last. Hunger gnawed at Ariston's belly, a constant companion to the bone-deep weariness that settled into his limbs. He moved like a ghost, his senses on high alert, his hand never straying far from the knife sheathed at his hip. He had brought down a rabbit with a well-aimed stone, savouring the meagre meal, the warmth of the fire he dared to light, brief and fleeting. Sleep, when it came, was a stolen luxury, fraught with the ever-present danger of discovery, of becoming prey himself. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in hues of blood orange and bruised purple, Ariston detected movement in the undergrowth. He froze, his breath catching in his throat, his every instinct screaming danger. He wasn't alone. Two figures emerged from the trees, their bodies lean and wiry, their eyes gleaming with a mixture of desperation and malice. They were Spartan boys, their faces smeared with dirt, their clothing torn and mud-stained. But the camaraderie of the Agoge was gone, replaced by a raw hunger for survival, a willingness to do whatever it took to succeed. They had targeted Ariston, sensing his exhaustion, his dwindling supplies. He was easy prey, ripe for the taking. They moved towards his makeshift camp, their hands gripping crude clubs, their intentions clear. Adrenaline surged through Ariston's veins, banishing fatigue, sharpening his senses to a razor's edge. He knew he couldn't win in a direct confrontation. They were bigger than him, fueled by a desperation he recognized in his own reflection. He had to use his cunning, the skills honed during countless hours spent stalking prey in the unforgiving wilderness. As they approached his camp, Ariston melted back into the shadows, his movements fluid and silent. He circled around them, staying low to the ground, using the terrain to his advantage. He was the hunter now, and they, unwittingly, had become the hunted. With a swiftness born of desperation, Ariston launched his attack. He sprang from behind a gnarled oak tree, his knife flashing in the fading light. He caught one boy off guard, his blade finding its mark with a sickening thud. The other boy, momentarily stunned, hesitated, his eyes widening in fear and disbelief. That moment of hesitation was all Ariston needed. He moved with a speed and ferocity that belied his exhaustion, his knife a blur of motion. The second boy fell, his cries cut short by the gathering darkness. Ariston stood panting, his chest heaving, his body trembling with a mixture of exhaustion and adrenaline. The smell of blood filled his nostrils, acrid and metallic. He had survived, but the victory felt hollow, the price of survival etched onto his soul. The sun, a pale ghost in the sky, heralded the dawn of a new day. But for Ariston, emerging from the depths of the Spartan wilderness, it felt like the dawning of a new age. He walked with a newfound strength, his body bearing the scars of his ordeal, each mark a testament to the trials he had endured. He had stared into the abyss, tasted the bitter tang of fear and despair, and emerged unbroken. His clothes, torn and mud-stained, hung loosely on his lean frame, but his eyes, once filled with the uncertainty of youth, now burned with the unwavering resolve of a seasoned warrior. He had hunted, he had killed, he had survived. The Crypteia, designed to break the weak, had instead forged him into something stronger, something unyielding. He returned to the training camp, not with the swaggering bravado of a victor, but with the quiet dignity of a Spartan who understood the true cost of survival. The other boys, those who had also endured the Crypteia, bore similar marks, their faces etched with a grim understanding of the path they had chosen. They had faced their own demons in the wilderness, confronted the darkest parts of themselves, and emerged forever changed. The Spartan elders, their faces impassive, their gazes sharp and unwavering, inspected the returning boys. They saw the changes, the subtle shifts in posture, the hardened glint in their eyes. They saw warriors tempered by hardship, ready to take their place in the ranks of Sparta's elite. A sense of unease hung in the air, a tension that spoke of more than just the rigors of training. Whispers of distant lands, of a gathering storm, reached even the secluded training grounds of the Agoge. The Persian king, Xerxes, driven by ambition and vengeance, amassed a vast army, a force unlike any the world had ever seen. His sights were set on Greece, his goal nothing less than total conquest. Sparta, a beacon of strength in a world teetering on the brink of chaos, prepared for war. The clang of hammers striking hot iron filled the air, the rhythmic beat a somber counterpoint to the pronouncements of war echoing through the streets. The Spartans, masters of warfare, honed their skills, their movements honed to a razor's edge, their discipline unwavering. Ariston, standing among his fellow Spartans, felt a surge of pride, a fierce determination to defend his homeland. He was no longer a boy, but a warrior of Sparta, forged in the fires of the Agoge, tempered by the trials of the Crypteia. He was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, to stand shoulder to shoulder with his brothers in arms, to fight for the glory of Sparta, or die trying. The shadow of war loomed large, but the Spartans, steeled by generations of unwavering courage, faced the coming storm with defiance in their hearts and steel in their hands. They were Spartans, and they would not yield. The fate of Greece, the very future of freedom, hung in the balance. The clash of empires was inevitable. The time for words was over. The time for war had come.